When we talk about intelligence, our minds usually jump to things like IQ tests or grades in school. But what if there's a whole other kind of intelligence out there? One that you can't learn from a book, because it's literally forged in adversity. Today, we're going to dive into a concept we're calling traumatic IQ. So let me just ask you this straight up. Have you ever walked into a room and just gotten a vibe? Like you instantly know who's in charge, who's feeling anxious, or who's not being entirely honest? If you can read the emotional temperature of a room in a split second, well, stick around. This is for you. So where on earth does a skill like that come from? Well, for a lot of people, the blueprint gets drawn way back in a childhood that was unpredictable. We're talking about growing up in a home where the rules were always changing and you never really knew what to expect next.
And this is where the human brain does something truly incredible. See, in a chaotic home, a kid's brain has to totally change its priorities. It's not just about learning your ABCs anymore. The number one job, the absolute top priority, becomes survival. It's all about trying to predict the unpredictable just to stay safe.
Now, this isn't just some temporary phase. We're talking about a fundamental rewrite of the brain's operating system. It physically changes, it chemically rewires itself to deal with this new reality of being on high alert 24/7. And how it does that is, well, it's fascinating. It all starts when the brain senses that things are constantly unstable. That flips a switch, forcing it to make threat detection its main job, always scanning for danger. And to get ahead of that danger, it hones its predictive abilities to a razor's edge, learning to spot tiny shifts in a person's mood or behavior before they even happen. And the result of all this intense rewiring? It's almost like developing a superpower, a super-tuned emotional radar. It's this complex internal system that's always on, always scanning, and always processing every little social cue to help you navigate the world. Okay, so what's it actually feel like to live with this emotional radar running all the time? It's basically like you're seeing the world through a completely different lens than most people. Think about something simple, like a casual get-together. So, for most people, a party is just a party, right? Fun times. But for someone with this hypervigilant lens, it is a massive data-gathering operation. You're subconsciously mapping the exits. You're reading the tiniest micro-expressions on people's faces. You're sensing the shifting dynamics in a conversation. It's a non-stop flood of information. And here's the most important part. This isn't a choice. It's a deep, subconscious state of constant overanalysis. Can you even imagine how exhausting that is? There's no off switch. That radar is always on. All right, so I know, up to this point, this whole thing might sound like a huge burden, something that's wrong with you. But what if we've been looking at it completely backward? What if we decided to reframe this entire experience, not as a flaw, but as a remarkable form of intelligence? This is the idea at the very heart of what we're talking about today. We're calling it traumatic IQ. It's a highly adapted intelligence that was born out of one simple thing: the brain's need to survive. It's not a disorder. It's a powerful, powerful adaptation. The moment you start looking at it this way, through this new frame, everything changes. All those symptoms of hypervigilance, they suddenly look a lot like a unique and potent set of abilities. Just think about it. That constant overanalysis of your environment, that's actually rapid threat analysis. That extreme sensitivity to what's not being said, that's mastery of nonverbal communication. That gut feeling of just knowing things about people, that is superior intuition. And it all leads back to that instant people reading we started with. These are not weaknesses. They are specialized strengths. I really want you to let this sink in. What you might have been told your whole life was anxiety or being too sensitive is actually a finely honed intelligence. It wasn't built in a quiet library. It was forged in fire. And that's what makes it so incredibly powerful. So when you boil it all down, the very same mechanism your brain built to protect you when you were a kid can now be seen for exactly what it is, a rare and powerful form of awareness that very few people will ever possess. And that really just leaves us with one final and I think very empowering question. Now that you can put a name to it, now that you can see it not as a scar but as a strength, what comes next is up to you. How are you going to consciously harness this incredible awareness, not just to survive anymore, but to truly thrive?